Al-jam'u, the plural. All plural isms in Arabic are divided into two groups, two main groups. One is called sound, salim, and the other is called broken, at-takthir. So we have sound plurals and we have broken plurals. The sound plurals are subdivided again into two groups. One is called masculine and the other is called feminine. So the first one, sound masculine plural, and then we have the sound feminine plural. The sound masculine plural only has two endings with which you can recognize them instantly. And they are una, as in example, muslimuna for the rafa status. And we have ina, as in example, muslimina for nasab or jar. So again, we have two endings for sound masculine plurals. As far as the sound feminine plurals are concerned in Arabic, we also have two endings to recognize them. The first one, atun, for example, muslimatun, which means female Muslims, plural. And we have muslimatin, again, means female Muslims, plural. So atun is for rafa, atin is for nasab or jar. Any plural in Arabic that does not end in these four different ways, it's called a broken plural. The sound masculine plural. To convert a singular word to sound masculine plural, for those that have the sound masculine plural, the steps are very simple. We go again to the original single masculine word and we add at the end of it, remember on the last letter only, we add a dhamma. We don't touch anything before it. And then we add the suffix, which is the waw and the noon. The waw with sukoon and the noon with fatha. We end up with muslimuna. Again, please note the sound. Una sound, which is your indication, it is rafa. Not only that, it is masculine. Not only that, it is plural. So sound masculine plural is muslimuna. Example, the sound is una at the end of the word. To form the nasab or jar version, steps are exactly the same. We go to the original singular word. We put on the last letter, please note we don't touch anything before. On the last letter, we put a kasra. And not only that, we add the ya with sukoon and the noon with fatha. We end up with muslimina. And please note that is the nasab or jar version. And that is the sound we will get, ina, which will indicate that it is sound masculine plural in the nasab or jar status. And that's the two endings on those words that have a sound masculine plural. Let's go through the step one more time with the example word salihun. Salihun means a pious person, but I'm talking about pious persons, which is plural. So what do? I need to add the ending. So what do? I take the word salih and add una at the end. I end up with salihuna for rafa. And again, the same step with the word salihun. I add the ina at the end. I end up with salihina. Again, you can see how the sound masculine plurals are made in Arabic. Again, those of you are familiar with reading Quran, you may recognize these words in some surahs you've already read or you've already memorized. When we went to the dual, I said that this is the case for every single dual word. But unfortunately, it is not as same as in Arabic with plurals. Not every word, every singular word will have a sound masculine plural. Therefore, it's not really easy to decide which one will have it, which one will not. As a general guide, if you remember what I mentioned when we spoke about gender, about aqil and non-aqil. Aqil in Arabic is a noun referring to something like an angel, jinns or human. These are called rational beings. Everything else is non-aqil. Everything else. So the sound masculine plural is usually reserved for the aqil category. Please note that, the aqil category. Not always, but predominantly is used for that. And also the singular word remains intact. There's no change in the singular, only the ending suffix comes along. And of course, in the original, it is masculine and it belongs to the aqil category. And then you add the ending to get that plurals that we've already gone through. So this is the only thing. You don't have to remember this rule, inshallah, because we are translating from Arabic to English. We don't have to form the words. We just have to recognize and translate. But I wanted to share that with you, that it is predominantly used for aqil, which is angels, jinns, and humans, not used for non-rational beings, this particular ending. However, in life, every rule has an exception and exception proves the rule. There's a very famous word in Surah Al-Fatiha which ends with the sound masculine plural, even though it is not aqil. For example, I'm sure you remember Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Again, that is not a rational being. Alameen means worlds. And of course, this is used using the sound masculine plural. Again, you can see that example there. Few other words which don't belong to the category but are exceptions to the rule that I just mentioned earlier. The word for earth. Okay, Arduna, Ardina, for example. Or family, Ahluna, Ahlina. And the word year, as in 12 months. And that is Sinuna, Sinina. Again, these are rare exceptions. Otherwise, generally, it is reserved for human, jinns, and angels. Okay, quick exercise for you to form some sound masculine plurals. What I'd like you to do, just these three examples will suffice, inshallah. As we're completing the Muslim table, it will give us even more practice there. You've got three words here. The first is sadiq, truthful, kadhib, liar, and shahid, witness. Again, make them in two sound masculine plurals in the three box rafa, nasab, and jar. Please complete the table. Pause the video, complete the task before continuing. Let's quickly do the answers with you. Inshallah, I hope you've done the exercise yourself. If not, do it with me now, please. So we want to make this word truthful, and we're talking about plural. That was singular. So how do we do that? Very simple. At the end, we put una, sadiquna, and again, the nasab version will be qina at the end, sadiqina, and the jar version is exactly the same, sadiqina. Now then we have the word kadhib, which means a liar. The first one was truthful, so we're talking about liars in plural. So kadhibuna, and the nasab version kadhibina, and the jar version kadhibina. Again, you can see the two versions done very quickly, inshallah ta'ala. And then let's do one more. Shahid means witness. We're talking about witnesses, which is plural. Shahiduna, and then we want to the nasab version, shahidina, and the jar version, shahidina. So if you just do a few more exercises, inshallah, these sounds and these versions will become very, very common to you. And as you go through any page of Quran, any line of Quran, if you see any word or any ism, by the way, and we're talking about isms only so far, and you don't know it's an ism, you can tell by the ending that this is a sound masculine plural, even if you don't know the meaning of the word. The sound feminine plurals. The sound feminine plural also has two endings. Atun or atin. Atun in the rafa status, muslimatun, and atin for nasab or jar, muslimatin, as your examples. To form the sound feminine plural, the steps are very, very simple, similar to what we have seen with the dual and the sound masculine plural. We go to the base form of the word again, which is Muslim, and we add suffixes to it. So the first thing to do is add a fatha at the end of the word Muslim, and then we end up with atun, which is alif, with the normal open ta at the end. So we end up with muslimatun. Muslimatun, and that is the rafa ending, gives us the sound atun. As far as nasab or jar is concerned, the principle is exactly the same. We add fatha at the end of the word Muslim and the alif, then the normal open ta, and we put the two kasras at the end, which is the tanween. We end up with muslimatin. Again, the atin sound is used both for nasab or jar status. Let's illustrate this with one more example. We have the word here, salihatun. Salihatun. As we know, ta marbuta cannot come anywhere but the end of a word. So we get rid of the ta marbuta and we add the suffix atun. So we put the fatha, alif, and the normal open ta, and we end up with salihatun. So again, we have the plural, feminine, salihatun. And then for the nasab or jar state is exactly the same. We remove the ta marbuta and we add the suffix atin. So we end up with salihatin. Salihatin. Again, you can see the nasab and the jar version. So the steps are very simple. All you need is just a few practice, inshallah, and you'll remember it for the rest of your life. A simple task for you to complete. I have three words on the screen: car, scholar, and sign, or ayah of Quran, as you know. So these three words are singular. What I'd like you to do is make sound feminine plural in the rafa, nasab, and jar version in the space provided, which you can see on the screen. Please complete the task. Pause the video before continuing. Okay, let me quickly go through the answers with you. I'm sure you've done this relatively easily. So the first word we have is sayyaratun, and we need to do the plural of that. So we get rid of the ta marbuta at the end, put an alif and the normal ta, and we have the sound feminine plural in the rafa status. For the nasab, again, exactly the same principle. Sayyaratin. Again, you can see exactly the same principle. And of course, for the jar version is the same as the nasab, but we're going to repeat for the sake of practice, inshallah, to make it also clear for us. So we get rid of the ta marbuta, add an alif and the normal ta, and we put two kasras at the end. Alim is a scholar. Alimatun is a female scholar. So we want to say female scholars. So what do we do? Exactly the same principle. On the nasab, I hope now you can see how easy this is, inshallah, and I hope you've done it, because unless you really do it and you just watch me on the screen, you're not going to learn. So you just need a notebook where you actually rewrite these yourselves, and this knowledge, inshallah, will stick. This is very commonly used in the Quran, so please pay attention when you read in the Quran, whether you're reading the singular or the plural. Again, to make the plural exactly the same principle, I will copy and paste just to save time. You can see now we got sound feminine plural for the three words. I hope you did the exercise. If you have done it once, rewrite it again. Does not matter how many times you write it. This is basic foundation knowledge or skills that you need to develop. Just a point for you to note, which word can I convert to sound masculine plural? Which word can I convert to sound feminine plural? If we convert every single masculine to sound masculine plural, and if we could convert every single feminine singular words to sound feminine plural, Arabic would be very, very easy. But this is not the case in all situations. Some words will have broken plurals, others will go for the standard. Which one and not? Inshallah, later on, when we get into patterns, this will become a little bit more clear. For now, please note that the sound masculine plural is primarily used for aqil, but the sound feminine plural can be used for both aqil and non-aqil. So example we have now, the example I gave you earlier, car. Car is neither angel, jinn, nor human, but the car can be used in the sound feminine plural. And there are words that will have broken plurals also. So what we will do with plurals, inshallah, just to make life easy for us, we'll simply note the singular and the plural. If it has a sound plural, we'll just make sure note, just simple it has it, then we can make it ourselves. But if it has a broken plural, we have to note it down and memorize it as we go along with learning singular words. As I mentioned with the example with sound masculine plural, which masculine singular word can be converted to sound masculine plural or not? Really isn't that simple. Primarily it is used for aqil words. As far as sound feminine plurals are concerned, they are used very frequently in Arabic, and it includes both aqil and non-aqil. For example, here I have on the screen Muslim. Again, the sound feminine plural of that is muslimatun. Whereas ayah is neither angel, jinn or human, but it also uses the sound feminine plural ayatun, as you can see exactly here on the screen. And the third word, kalima, word or a phrase or a statement in Arabic, kalimatun. So many words will use sound feminine plural. It will be both aqil and non-aqil. So there is no really a clear-cut rule for us. Again, the life is relatively easy for us because we're not really going into the language as in depth. We are trying to understand Quran. So all you need to know is when you see the atun ending or atin, and please note if it has al, that tanween will not be there. So it will be tu or ti at the end, normal ta, not the ta marbuta. This is a sign that it is a sound feminine plural. And from there, inshallah ta'ala, you can get all the associated grammar rules that relate to it, and you can now translate from Arabic to English. Alhamdulillah, we've now reached a point where we can complete the Muslim table. I've mentioned it so many times. Why? Because it's really, really very important in your Arabic studies. If you can get this table, form it yourself, and take any word that applies to this set and form 18 words, you are, alhamdulillah, making a huge leap in Arabic. And again, with the Muslim word, I'm confident now, with all the examples I've given you, you should now be able to complete the Muslim table. So this is the Muslim table. Let's go through it. So alhamdulillah, we can take the word Muslim and make 18 words out of it. Let's begin. Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. The dual version, Muslimani, Muslimaini, Muslimaini. Plural, Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. The feminine, Muslimatun, Muslimatan, Muslimatin. The dual, Muslimatani, Muslimataini, Muslimataini. The plural, Muslimatun, Muslimatin, Muslimatin. So we have 18 words. Of course, these are all indefinite. If I put al in front, they will become definite. Here is the table with al in front. I highlighted in red for you just to make it clear which words have tanween, and therefore there's been change or the removal of the tanween with the single vowel due to the fact that al has come in. So it's only in the singular and the sound feminine plural, which you can see inshallah ta'ala at the bottom of the screen. So just be careful there inshallah with the removal of the tanween, which is I think I mentioned that to you in the first lesson. We've done a lot of practice with this already, and now we've got another set of 18 words. These are 36 words in total. Why is this important? Again, you'll see it inshallah very soon, but take a look at what we can do with this knowledge. If we know how to memorize the Muslim table, and I strongly recommend that you take your handwritten notes, don't rely on the screen, handwritten notes where you've written it yourself, the 18 indefinite and 18 definite, and read them out 3-4 times until it becomes second nature. And please read them in the order that I've given you. So you should be able to repeat the Muslim table out as you're walking, talking, whatever. Just keep on repeating it until it becomes second nature. Also, you should be able to rewrite it without looking the complete 36 words from the word Muslim. Why? This is going to give you a huge amount of knowledge in Arabic, inshallah ta'ala. Explain the 4 properties of ism for yourself, as well as inshallah, and most importantly, give you the ability to recognize those words or those word patterns in any word that you come across in the Quran. All the words of the Quran, of course, have all the vowel signs, so you should have no problems recognizing them. And as soon as you see a word which is an ism, you know it's an ism. We haven't done all the rules of ism yet, but you know it's an ism and it has any of the endings that fit in here. You can safely say this is dual, this is sound masculine plural, this is sound feminine plural. That's the skill you need to get to. Let me demonstrate that for you with the word we've already practiced with so many times, the word mu'min. Let me put the word mu'min in the table and we will see inshallah what I mean. Mu'minun, mu'minan, mu'minin. Mu'minani, mu'minaini, mu'minaini. Mu'minuna, mu'minina, mu'minina. Mu'minatun, mu'minatan, mu'minatin. Mu'minatani, mu'minataini, mu'minataini. Mu'minatun, mu'minatin, mu'minatin. What is this? 18 words. So really, in theory, you don't really need to learn the word mu'min in all its variations. You just learn the word mu'min means a believer, and that fact that it actually goes through the Muslim table, and you've got a grand sale. Learn one, get 18 free. If you go to a shop, you see on the window, buy one, get one free. Great deal. We jump for it. But alhamdulillah, look, you can now you've learned enough, just in 4 lessons, enough to be able to learn one word and make 18 yourself. Subhanallah, bargain of the century. But that's not all. The deal gets even better than this. Let's look at the definite table. Al-mu'minu, al-mu'mina, al-mu'mini, al-mu'minani, al-mu'minaini, al-mu'minaini, al-mu'minuna, al-mu'minina, al-mu'minina, al-mu'minatu, al-mu'minata, al-mu'minati, al-mu'minatani, al-mu'minataini, al-mu'minataini, al-mu'minatu, al-mu'minati, al-mu'minati. So in reality, you got learn one, get 36 free. So again, you can do that with hundreds of words in the Arabic language. And inshallah, any of the time these words appear in the Quran, or the patterns of these words appear in the Quran, you can tell me whether it is singular, dual or plural. You can tell me whether it is rafa, nasab or jar. You can also tell me whether it's masculine or feminine. You can also tell me whether it's definite or indefinite, even if you don't know the meaning of the word. And that's the beauty of approaching this, because we need to be able to recognize words and words pattern. The vocabulary will look after themselves, inshallah, relatively easily. So here are some examples of words with which you can make these tables yourself. So I ask you to do the smart thing, go for the sale of the century, learn one, get 36 free. Convince yourself, prove it to yourself that you can do this, inshallah. Take these words here: sadiqun, salihun, kafirun, munafiqun. Even if it takes you, say, 15 minutes at the worst case scenario to write out each one of these, it's a huge investment in your studies. So please make sure you do practice the Muslim table with these words and many others, inshallah ta'ala, when you can start forming words yourself. Using number in nominal sentences. What I'd like you to do is translate these 6 sentences from English to Arabic, just for you to be clear 100%. The first 3 sentences on the top table is referring to male, masculine, and the last three on the second box are referring to female. So again, you have masculine, feminine, and of course, you will probably recognize this is sound masculine plural, this is sound feminine plural. As a hint for you, I've given you the vocabulary: munafiq in the default rafa status, and kadhib, which means liar, in the default rafa status. Of course, you got to make it dual and plural, and all the other things that you need to do to form sentences correctly in Arabic. I've taken you this far, inshallah. I'm hoping that you're not going to have much of a difficulty completing this task. Pause the video, complete the task before continuing. Okay, let's go through the answers. If you make a mistake, don't worry, go back and check where you went wrong, inshallah. Let's go to the first one. The hypocrite is a liar. Of course, masculine in the first table. So, al-munafiqu kadhibun. Any problems, please go back and review the lesson on the rules for making sentences. Then the second one, the 2 hypocrites, al-munafiqani. Again, you can see the dual form. Kadhibani. Again, you can see that the subject and the predicate, they need to match in number and gender, which you can see demonstrated here. And then the plural version will be 3 or more. Al-munafiquna kadhibuna. Again, you can see the subject and the predicate, the number matching and the gender matching, the subject being definite in all 3 cases, and in all 3 cases, the predicate being indefinite. The second set of sentences we have, the hypocrite female is a liar. Again, exactly the same. We've taken the word munafiq, added the ta marbuta at the end and al at the beginning to make it definite, and kadhibatun. Again, it needs to match in gender. Again, you can see the singular, female, feminine matching. In the second, al munafiqatani, we have kadhibatani. Again, you can see the dual endings there, both of them in the rafa status. And again, the plural for the feminine, al-munafiqatu kadhibatun. Again, in the first one is being definite, the second one indefinite, and you can see the gender and the number matching between the 2 parts of the sentences. And that's basically it for forming Jumla Ismiya with the standard set of words that we have in front of us. I hope you've done the exercise. I hope and pray that you are progressing in your understanding, inshallah. The purpose behind all of this is that you are learning. Let's illustrate the i'rab in different statuses for singular, dual and plural, just for the sake of examples, inshallah. We have now our famous sentences, which I hope by now you probably memorized. In the first set, I have a Muslim came. This should be very easy for you. Ja'a muslimun. Second, I saw a Muslim. Ra'aytu musliman. And then I gave salam to a Muslim. Sallamtu ala muslimin. I hope this is easy by now. In the second column, I want to say 2 Muslims came. 2 Muslims. Remember now, Ja'a Muslimani. 2 Muslims came. I saw 2 Muslims. I cannot say Muslimani now. It has to be nasab. Ra'aytu Muslimaini. Sallamtu ala Muslimaini. Why? Because it's coming after ala, has to be jar. In the last column, we have Muslims came. Ja'a Muslimuna. I saw Muslims. Ra'aytu Muslimina. I gave salam to Muslims. Sallamtu ala Muslimina. Of course, we can do them also with al, but for the sake of time, let's just take these as example for ourselves. You may have been confused when I was talking about the different statuses that, the nasab and the jar is the same for the dual and the plural. How do you know which is which? Well, it's relatively easy. I hope this example illustrate. In this version, I will say this has to be nasab. Why? Because it is the object. In this one, I have to say this has to be jar. Why? Because it's coming after ala. So we need some contextual information rather than just the ending to tell us whether it is nasab or jar for the dual as well as for the plural, which I hope you can see by now being illustrated. For now, I just like you to memorize these sentences, write them out a couple of times, and you can see them being used, inshallah. As we get into the deeper, you'll learn all the reasons for rafa, nasab and jar, and then inshallah ta'ala you'll be ready to look at the ayat of Quran and start analyzing them for yourself. Let's again do the feminine version just for the sake that you've got enough practice. Again, I'm going to go through these answers with you and just want you to write them down yourself later on. Use this screen, inshallah, pause it and rewrite the English and the Arabic sentences. And again, this will give you the practice that you need. Ja'at muslimatun. Why did I change it to ja'at, not ja'a? Explained in the lesson number 3. Please refer to the video. When the doer is feminine, we have to change the verb. Okay, ra'aytu muslimatan. I saw a female Muslim. Sallamtu ala muslimatin. I give salam to a female Muslim or a Muslim sister in this case. Ja'at. 2 female sisters came. So ja'at muslimatani. Ra'aytu muslimataini. Sallamtu ala muslimataini. Again, this should be relatively easy now. Ja'at muslimatun. Ra'aytu muslimatin. Sallamtu ala muslimatin. Alhamdulillah. All the 3 Arabs demonstrated and singular, dual and plural demonstrated for you. Please, please rewrite these sentences. Just for you to make a copy of this sentence, I'm sure you can do a screencast or something, or a copy from your screen capture screen, put it on your notes. Inshallah, these are the 9 plus 9, 18 sentences demonstrating the different forms of the word Muslim in different Arabs, masculine, feminine, etc., singular, dual, plural, just to give you an overview of how it works in Arabic, inshallah ta'ala. So conclude our discussion on sound plurals. There are only 2, sound masculine plural, sound feminine plural. Sound masculine plural ends with una, example, muslimuna for rafa, muslimina for nasab or jar. Now, sound feminine plural also 2 endings. Ends with muslimatun. Atun ending for rafa. Muslimatin for nasab or jar. Atin ending. And that's it for the sound masculine plural and sound feminine plural. What we've got to do now is to look at the broken. Again, remember in Arabic, really the complexity in recognizing words and moving forward is knowing whether the word is singular or whether it's broken plural. The other category, dual, is very easy. We've done that already. And now you can see the sound masculine plural is very easy. We've done that in this session. So the real challenge for us is the broken plural and the singular words. Again, that's like any other language. You simply learn the vocabulary. I hope and I pray that I'm able to convince you that learning Arabic to understand Quran is actually easier than English. Let's see, inshallah ta'ala, how that practically plays for us. Again, you need to convince yourself. I can tell you 1,000 times, until you're convinced yourself, you will not be convinced. So please, please carry out the exercise I'm showing you. And inshallah, very soon, you'll see how that plays in understanding ayat of Quran, in translating ayat of Quran from Arabic to English. الذي علم بالقلم